Shalom Aleichem, Rabbi Kovacs here. Mishnah Yomi continues in chapter 3 of Shevuot, Mishnah Daled Hey today. We've got back into the subject of oaths of declaration. For instance, someone says he's not going to eat, and then he eats. Well, how much does he have to eat? What about drinking? Now, Mishnah Daled gets us to a really interesting case. Shavuot shelo ochel, he makes an oath, I'm not going to eat. He ate something that's not normally eaten. Maybe it's putrid or decaying. Or he drinks a beverage that's not really normal to drink. Potter. He is not liable for violating the oath. The oath is about eating, and this act of consuming is not a normal act of eating. But the Mishnah contrasts it to the next case. Shevuot shelo ochel, it's an oath I'm not going to eat. V'achol nevelot, and he ate from nevela meat. Now nevela is any animal, a kosher animal, but it did not die through an act of slaughter. It died through some other means. It's a roadkill or the like. Utrefot, a trefa again is something else. That's an animal that got a proper shechita. The knife was sharp, everything was right, but they opened up the animal and they found a pre-existing condition. We mentioned the most common one was holes or adhesions in the lungs. But anything that would have killed this animal, this pre-existing condition, is a trefa. Shkotzim shekets is like something gross. It's animals that are creepy and crawly, like worms and snakes and bugs and little mice and things like this. Or masim is like the little itty bitty, worms you'd find in decaying food. Chayev, he is liable for violating the oath. Now the reason is these things, they might be gross and they might be forbidden by the Torah to eat them, which they are, but they are really food. People out there eat this. People eat frog legs and the like, and worms and all sorts of things. Rabbi Shimon poter. Rabbi Shimon says he's off the hook. Now what Rabbi Shimon means is he's not violating his oath, because in Rabbi Shimon's opinion, an oath can't take effect if that oath is banning something that's already banned by the Torah. In the Gemara, they use a lashon nishba ve'omed mehar Sinai. This person and all the Jewish people have already taken an oath at Har Sinai, at the time of the giving of the Torah, at Sinai. It's as if every single soul was there and took an oath to observe everything in the Torah that was given at Sinai. Therefore, according to Rabbi Shimon, we already took an oath not to eat these things, so taking a new oath not to eat these things, that oath doesn't have legally binding power. Now, the person will still get lashes or have to bring a korban chatat for eating these banned items, but in terms of violating the Shevuot, it's not considered a legal Shevuot. The sages here disagree with Rabbi Shimon because they say his ban, his Shevuot, is on all acts of eating, not just of something that's a forbidden act of eating, forbidden by the Torah. So since he's including every act of eating, then even if his eating was something forbidden, he's going to be in trouble now for violating his oath and for doing something that the Torah forbids him to eat. Finally, the Mishnah adds this interesting case. Amar, the vower, says konam. Now, konam is a word we learned back in Nedarim a couple of years ago, and it's a word of neder, and it's a word that's kind of slang for korban. Korban means an offering. Konam basically means I'm banning something as if it's an offering to the temple that no one can use. So he says, Konam ishti nehenet li. I'm banning my wife from having any benefit from me and my possession. Imachalti hayom, if I indeed ate something today. And what happened? Vahu achol nevelot. He had eaten nevela, the trefot, or the trefa, shkatzim ramashim, or all the creepy, crawly, yucky worms. Hare ishto asura. So this this vow does actually take effect, and his wife is forbidden from having hana, enjoyment from him, because he performed an act of eating. Now, his eating was something forbidden by the Torah, but here even Rabbi Shimon agrees he's fulfilled the condition that makes his vow legally effective, so the vow is indeed legally effective. Now on to Mishnah Hey, which gets us back to the kind of general topic of when an oath can be a valid oath. Echad dvarim shel atzmo, whether it's something about himself, echad dvarim shel acherim, or it's something related or triggered by other people, echad dvarim sheish behem mamash, whether it's something related to a physical item that can be touched and moved, echad dvarim she'ein behem mamash, or it's something that doesn't have substance, like an oath to do an act without actually affecting an item. then these can all be valid oaths of declaration. Ketzad, the Mishnah gives examples. Amar, he said, Shevuot she'eten leish ploni v'shelo eten. He says an oath, I'm going to give something to a certain person, to Mr. Ploni, or that I'm not going to give Ploni a gift. Shenatati, or an oath that I already gave him. V'shelo natati, or an oath that I did not give him anything. Now that's something related to someone else, Mr. Ploni, and something that has substance, a gift. What if he says, She'ishan, an oath I will sleep. V'shelo yishan, or I'm not going to sleep. She'yashanti, that I already slept today. V'shelo yashanti, or I didn't sleep last night. So this is something that's intangible, ein bo mamash, but the oath is effective. Or he says, She'ezra tzor liyam, I will throw a rock into the ocean. V'shelo izrak, or he makes an oath, I will not throw a rock into the ocean. She'zarakti, or he makes an oath, I already threw a rock in. V'shelo zarakti, or he makes an oath, I never threw a rock in. All of these are valid declarative oaths. Rabbi Shmuel Omer, now we're going to see he disputes the presumption of this Mishnah and actually the very first Mishnah, which talked about oaths being valid whether they're in the future tense or the past tense. He says, Eino chayev ela ola atid lavo. A person is only liable for an oath that's about the future, an oath about what he's going to do or not do in the future. Shnemar, as the pasuk says in Leviticus chapter 5, he says, Lehara o lehetev. His oath, his shvuah, is either lehara, which means to the bad, but it's an infinitive verb form, which implies the future, meaning to do something bad in the future, o lehetev, or to do something good. And again, this lahetiv, this infinitive verb form, implies a future tense. Amar lo Rabbi Akiva applies to Rabbi Shmuel, im ken, if so, ainli ela devarim sheish behem hara hatava. Then oaths should only be binding oaths if they have something, to do something bad or to do something good. But what about devarim she'ein behem hara v'hatava minayin? How would you know that an oath would be valid if it's not to do something good or bad? It's parv. And then before I should say, for example, what we just saw, to throw a rock into the ocean, as long as no one's down there to get hit, then that doesn't hurt anybody. That doesn't do anyone any good either. It's very parv. Amar lo Rabbi Shmuel says, Meribuya katuv, because the verse has an inclusive phrase. And he's referring to this extra word, lahara lehetev, to do bad or to good, as we quoted before, lekol, for anything, asher yavatei adam b'shvuah. For anything a person will express verbally in his oath. So this lechol, for anything, that would include other cases that are parv. Amar lo, Rabbi Akiva has an answer, Yishmael, im riba kasav lekach. If this lechol works to include things that are parv, riba kasav lekach. It could also include things that are in the past tense, not just the future tense, as Rabbi Yishmael argues. Yishar kochachem tizku l'mitzvot.